Hello, welcome to this update for Asia for the winter weather. So, Happy New Year to everybody, and let's see what's happening. So, now, some parts of Western Asia, we have this system near Tajikistan, Afghanistan, and Pakistan with some snow and some rain there, and in Iran as well. And some bigger fronts in Russia there, and northern Kazakhstan, including western Russia, some snow, and in Japan it's a little bit quieter, but still a little bit of snow. And eastern Russia we have some lingering snow as well. So let's see. This is the European model. It does show that snow there in Afghanistan and Iran, those areas going central Kazakhstan, shows in Kyrgyzstan. So this goes Thursday the 2nd. Tomorrow still shows snow there, some rain in Afghanistan, northern Pakistan and Tajikistan. Even some spots of western Pakistan. This goes into Friday the 3rd, shows more in Afghanistan and Tajikistan. And then still on Sunday the 5th still shows snow there, the European, even as tiny spots in northern Nepal. Then it goes there and starts going to northernmost India, the Himalayas. So throughout the 6th and the 7th shows more snow in Nepal, northern India, even shows some storm or two, but mainly snow in the mountains there. So be careful. Shows later on the 8th, this system keeps moving east and more rain in northern Myanmar, some snow there in the mountains of southeastern China and Tibet. So this goes on the 8th, and the Europeans still showing snow, some spots of eastern China by January 9th, and some rain in the mix as well. It shows like some spots of snow Nepal and Bhutan, and by the 9th does show some snow in Iran as well. And actually this starts like on Sunday the 5th, shows a front in northern Turkey and some snow in Georgia, Azerbaijan, and the European is showing some storms in Saudi Arabia and some rain in Iraq on the 6th. This goes into Iran, starts showing snow on the 7th there. So this goes shows more snow throughout January 8th. Not that much on the 8th, more in the morning. Then this goes there, shows a front in Turkey too on the 8th, and into Cyprus as well. So this goes and kind of diminishes on the 9th, but this goes there. And back east shows the 11th still some rain in China, and now the European is bringing more snow to eastern China from this system on the 12th, some rain to southern China and eastern China, and does show this turn into an extra tropical cycle into eastern China, and a lot of snow there around the 13th, and some rain and snow in Japan on the 13th as well, and still has some spots of freezing rain and snow in southeastern China. So this goes still shows snow in Japan on the 14th, and on the 15th, and some more snow southeastern China. But that's like 2 weeks out, 2 or 3 weeks out, what I just showed you for China and Japan, those areas. So this information will still change a lot, but what we are certain of is this snow right there in Afghanistan, Pakistan, and most likely heading to northern Nepal and northern India. So be aware. Now there's the GFS model. It does show in Iran and in Afghanistan there's no there too, and Tajikistan as well, some spots of northern western Pakistan. Then into Saturday already shows some in the Himalayas. This goes into Sunday there in Afghanistan, Tajikistan, those areas. Then it goes Monday the 6th, still shows snow there in Tibet, some spots of China on the 7th, Wednesday the 8th, shows some more snow there in southeastern China, mainly some mountain spots. And this goes, and by the 10th, the GFS not showing anything else crazy. Just like in Russia, and those areas will show in a minute. But the GFS has some other ideas in Japan. It's showing some snow there today on the 1st in Japan. The mountains on the 2nd tomorrow. The GFS still showing snow in Japan. And then the 4th still shows northern Japan some snow, January 4th. The 5th it starts bringing a system there, a cold front like North Korea, South Korea shows snow on the 5th, and on the 6th does show this big front throughout Japan there, shows some heavy rain in Tokyo and more snow in the mountains on the 6th, and also some North Korea, South Korea, some snow. This goes on the 7th, it goes away, but still snow in Japan on the 7th by the GFS. The 8th as well shows snow there. The 10th, the GFS still shows snow. So yeah, be aware. Let's just compare the European, because we didn't see this area. So today, the 1st, it's also showing some snow there, the European. So Friday the 3rd, Saturday, northern Japan, some drizzles. And on the 5th also shows this cold front likely to have some stronger storms in the southern islands there, so be careful. And also showing in Ogasawara, some heavy rain on the 6th. Then this goes, shows more rain, snow in Japan late on the 6th and the 7th. Then this goes on the 8th, still shows more snow there. So yeah, be careful in those areas. There's, where is it, the icon for both of these systems. So it's showing there in Iran, Afghanistan, and those areas. There's no also fronts in Kazakhstan, central northern Kazakhstan, to eastern Kazakhstan. The icon, the 2nd, shows some snow like northern China, Kazakhstan, and still passing throughout Russia. Those bands of snow, and still by the 3rd shows snow in Afghanistan, those areas. In Japan, as you can see, those bands of light snow. The 3rd, the 4th shows more like, still on the 4th shows some in Afghanistan, Tajikistan. This goes on the 5th, still showing some light drizzles in Japan. And now the icon has the front on the Pacific there, saying up near Japan, but the icon's not showing much the Himalayas. It does show some northern India, but it starts showing more on the 6th, so northernmost India, some areas there. And on the 6th does show the front in Japan, not as aggressive as the GFS that showed it right over Japan, but it does show close to Japan. There are more rain and snow until the 8th, or even after that. So be aware those areas, be careful the snow. Now further north here, the European does show Western Russia, that system now. So it goes the front in central Kazakhstan. This goes there, shows another front to the 3rd in northern Kazakhstan, even like on the 4th, northernmost Mongolia, but some specific spots like near the border with Russia, and shows like that snow lingering near southeastern Russia, the peninsula and those areas until like the 3rd. The 4th still shows some spots southeastern Russia, and those fronts just continue in western Russia. Those snow drizzles and fronts there, northern Kazakhstan. It shows central Kazakhstan on the 6th. The 7th still shows some spots of southeastern Russia, even easternmost Russia near Alaska, in those areas. Shows like on the 7th, more northern Russia, and shows another big one on western Russia on the 9th. And that does show more snow in Mongolia on the 10th. The European, this goes, shows like more snow on the 11th, some spots there, but just be aware because far out it's hard to predict. But be careful these fronts now. Kazakhstan and Russia, this the GFS shows a similar thing too, southeastern Russia as well. So yeah, be aware those areas. Now uh, for wind and stuff. Let's see if there's anything crazy. So still with the GFS, shows in Europe there that very enormous crazy system. So be careful there, the wind and stuff, and we'll make more videos soon for Europe. But does show now central Kazakhstan, a little bit higher gusts in northernmost Russia. So be careful if there's wind and snow at the same time. You can create some blizzard conditions, especially those very far north Arctic areas there, those towns. So be aware, shows Wednesday today into Thursday. The second shows more like northwestern Kazakhstan, western Russia, still some wind. In some spots there like Mongolia, China, those areas. So this goes the second, actually on the third right, shows more like in Kazakhstan, some higher gusts, a little bit breezy throughout western Russia, and some spots in the Himalayas in Tibet. So this goes the second, and the third still shows some winds in some parts of western Russia, especially in the Himalayas, but also northwestern Kazakhstan, northernmost Russia as well, western Russia. So this goes Sunday, the 5th shows this other front in Russia and Kazakhstan that they might affect the Caucasus in those areas as well. So this goes the 4th still shows wind in Tibet. On the 6th, at the afternoon of the 6th, is showing some very high gusts there in Tibet, especially in the afternoons. So be careful. This goes the 7th, shows like, wait, let's go back to the 6th to see like Japan. So it does show this peak from there, some high gusts in the islands, but also a little bit breezy South Korea, some spots in Japan there. So this goes show like southeastern Russia and northernmost Japan, some higher gusts, especially southeastern Russia. And the 7th, this goes still some fronts in Russia, some spots. The 8th shows more there around South Korea and Japan, a little bit disturbed waters there because of those fronts. The 9th still shows some rough seas and more wind there. And then on the 9th, the GFS is showing some wind northern Kazakhstan, from some systems there, like between China and Mongolia, showing some too. So, and on the 11th, it is showing like a bigger front there, some higher gusts in central western Russia. So be aware, but this is just one model and one run, and all of this information changes very frequently. So just keep that in mind, that it might not happen exactly like I'm showing you. Now, the European, just for comparison, has those high winds in the Arctic there, northern Russia. Wednesday, the 1st, this goes into western Russia because of the European system. Today and Thursday, the 2nd, shows more than in Tibet and those areas, and the European shows more specific spots like southeastern China, between Afghanistan and Iran, some specific spots in Iran, and also breezier in Oman, some spots of United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia, a little bit breezier than normal. It shows like in Saudi Arabia on the 2nd, some spots too. So this goes and shows more wind in Kazakhstan on the 3rd, more like southern Russia and Tibet. Be careful there. Those gusts, some spots in northern Afghanistan and Iran, still in Oman, Yemen, some spots there, especially near the ocean. So this goes the 3rd, a little bit disturbed the seas near Japan still, and southeastern Russia, and the Tibet and so those spots southeastern China. In the mountains, still some higher gusts, not all the way to like Afghanistan, some higher gusts, some spots in northernmost Pakistan or India. So be aware, Saturday the 4th, Sunday, this goes there, shows still some high wind in Tibet. On the 7th, shows the system in Japan on the 6th, some higher gusts near Taiwan and those southern islands. Be careful those southern islands there. The European does have high gusts on the 7th in Japan. So be careful. If there's snow as well, most likely will in those mountains. Be careful with blizzard conditions and blowing snow. Still on the 8th, shows South Korea and Japan. Some higher gusts into southeastern Russia. This goes there and shows this big extratropical system. The European might be exaggerating the size of this, but it does show marines South Korea too, southeastern Russia, those areas. So be aware. Shows there those spots in easternmost Russia, some high gusts as well, and also the days before that, like on the 5th in eastern Russia, on the 3rd, and yeah, so be aware. And this goes, the 8th shows still a little bit higher gusts in eastern Kazakhstan, some spots of the Caspian Sea in China. This goes there, and more in Tibet and Russia later. So be aware those areas, and this information still might change. The icon has a similar thing too, as similar to the European as well. Some spots there, even on the 4th, the icon has some crazy spots in the mountains there, some high gusts. So yeah, be careful and be aware. Let's see some stuff for the temperatures and stuff. So in Asia here, so this is the GFS, the temperature anomaly chart. So does show now some quite below average near like Saudi Arabia, some spots of southwestern Asia, and far eastern Russia there, and does show like in those areas in Afghanistan still below average. And then this shows in Europe that big cold mass there, January 4th in Eastern Europe. Then this goes into Western Russia and Kazakhstan, not as strong, but does show a little bit colder air there. So this goes some spots of Afghanistan there, shows those below average temperatures, colder there, and does show a little bit above average. So some spots are like Russia and Western Asia, but still shows some below average in China until like the 13th, and more Arctic air later on the 14th, 15th, Western Russia, and still below average the Himalayas and some areas. Now the European does show that below average southwestern Asia, especially Iran, Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia, some in Russia there, and does show like in western Russia and northwestern Kazakhstan until the 6th, so some below average temperatures there. The 7th still, it does show on the 9th, March like Mongolia, northern China, those below average temperatures. It shows those colder temperatures on the 12th into China there, and eventually eastern China. And does have summer plunges of Arctic air near like western Russia on the 15th as well. So that's still far out, but we'll keep monitoring it. So be aware those areas. Now for the actual temperatures. Now it's really winter there in Russia. Shows like some minus 54 degrees Celsius, some minus 52, minus 51. So be careful. I know you're used to it, but it's extremely cold, like minus 56 degrees Celsius. Please stay safe from wind chills, just as a reminder. Be careful, dress warm, and be careful with younger children and other people. So please stay safe, and everyone should be careful and dress very warm. So stay safe. Shows more like into southeastern Russia, some minus 36, some minus 33, some spots Mongolia and those areas, some minus 27, some minus 28, some minus 31. So be careful. shows like some minus 17, some spots in Mongolia. Southeastern China a little bit better, some 5 degrees, 2 degrees, but further north, those negative temperatures there shows Kazakhstan, those negative temperatures, except some spots in the far south, but still kind of coldish. And Tajikistan, some minus 15, some minus 10, shows in Iran, those areas, some minus 6 in Turkey, some minus 3, some minus 1, some minus 4, so yeah, some minus 6. So beware, and some spots in Syria and Lebanon, some 0 degrees, minus 1, Saudi Arabia, those 5, 4 degrees. So yeah, be aware those areas. Now this goes still. The second tomorrow shows in China, Mongolia very cold, and Russia shows like in Eastern Russia not that cold, but still shows cold. But the real Arctic air, they're like Central Siberia, so please stay safe. Those temperatures, these are like some of the coldest array of the season, show like some minus 41 for the north, some minus 28 northern China. So this goes there into the third, shows more northern Mongolia, those minus 20s, some like central China and Tibet in those areas, some minus 15, some minus 14, shows there's Kyrgyzstan, some minus 27. And if you are in the mountains, depending on your elevation, it might be colder than this, because sometimes these are global models and they might have a harder time catching the temperature in such a high altitude there. So it might be colder. So BPR and shows like Mongolia, those areas, still like on the far, still very cold in Russia there. More like still some negative temperatures in Kazakhstan, Western Russia, Northwestern Russia shows some minus 25, some minus 24, into Finland, some minus 28. So be aware, these goals show like some spots Western Russia and some negative temperatures, some high elevations in Iran and Eastern Turkey there, and the Caucasus as well, show like some minus 5. So be aware, the fourth, this goes there, still shows very, very cold into Russia. Not as severe as it is now, but still some minus 46 degrees, some minus 32, some other spots in northern central Russia. So be careful. And the mountains of Afghanistan, those areas, be careful too, some minus 26, some minus 23. Outside the mountains a little bit less, but still cold. And Tajikistan, some minus 25, some minus 26, shows like into northernmost Pakistan and India. So be aware of those areas. And southern Nepal, so like 12, 10 degrees depending on the day, 14, but on the mountains very cold. So this goes, the fifth still shows there like in Russia very cold, northern China, and showing on the 8th somewhere like northern Russia very cold, spreading right into eastern Russia, some spots in eastern Russia colder. So this goes throughout the 8th, shows more cold air to like eastern Russia, and still like central western Russia, some minus 30s, some minus 20s. This goes at the 9th. The show, if it updates here, as minus 38. So yeah, be careful. And also shows now into Kazakhstan on the 9th, all the way to minus 27, so minus 28 into Russia. There shows like right between China and Russia, and those areas, minus 32, minus 33. So beware. Tajikistan, minus 33, minus 29. Those areas, also like Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, some negative temperatures. This goes, the 9th still shows very cold. Those areas there, some breaks in between it, but most negative temperatures. Those areas like Russia, China, and Mongolia, very cold. And the high mountains, very cold too. and shows there like Russia, northeastern China. So be careful there. Still some minus 30s in Russia, and alright, like northern Nepal start showing some minus 20s in the mountains, northeastern India on the 10th. This goes there shows like Mongolia, those areas, and alright, start showing uh, getting colder again in Siberia, so minus 45 on the 12th, and this goes there still show like Mongolia the 13th, very very cold, so minus 20s, minus 30s, northeastern China, so stay safe there. But uh, it is just a model. It's not a precise forecast, so this might change. So always stay tuned to your local weather and be careful. So shows there in Japan as well. The first today, so some 5 degrees in Tokyo, some negative temperatures in the mountains, and South Korea, North Korea cold too. Show like northern Japan colder there, and show like the second still cold there in Japan. And show like more northern Japan, many areas, some spots in the mountains. This goes some days show negative temperatures all the way to southern Japan, the mountains, some spots South Korea, and show like the fourth. This goes there, show like 1 degree in Tokyo some days, and this goes like the third, the eighth. So stay safe there. This goes, and yeah. So be careful in those areas. And one very important thing is the fuse-like temperature. So if it's like minus 29 northern China, it might feel like minus 35, even like minus 39, depending on the wind and everything. So please be mindful of that. Most spots might feel colder than it actually is. So protect yourself from the cold and everything, and stay safe. There's the icon too. I don't know. So here, it shows similar thing. Shows sometimes 53 in Russia, very very cold, and then this goes there's still very cold. Those spots, and also like Western Asia, the third shows some 0 degrees, like Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Central Turkey as well. So yeah, stay safe. Those areas, be careful. Now, rain accumulation, because always in winter weather videos I just show snow and forget to show rain. So let's see. This shows somewhere like Western Japan, so some spots there. This might be snow, but if it's like outside the mountains, it might be rain on the coast. So be careful. Some heavy rain at times, especially on the 6th and the 7th with that front. And Ogasawara, they show more than 100 millimeters from the front there. Shows basically all of this is snow there, but there might be some rain in the mix, so some higher accumulation, some spots. The European does have Saudi Arabia, some spots there, some more rain, and Turkey, especially Western Turkey, those fronts, Sharjah in Cyprus until the 6th, and some snow in the Caucasus and those areas. Shows like Russia, that snows southeastern Russia, and if I put this until the 11th, rain increases in Turkey and some spots in Eastern Asia especially. But be aware. And just for comparison, the GFS does have in Japan, some are Western Japan, does have in Saudi Arabia, some not as much as the European, but it does have. And now I said I also forget show rain. This time I didn't show snow. So here, let's see the snow. So next 5 days until the 6th, the European has a lot of snow. Those areas of Afghanistan, those areas. So does show central northern Afghanistan, a finger or two further south, but mainly northern areas. Shows there's like some 88 centimeters, some 91. So be careful, some heavier snow. The accumulations, be careful while you're driving and everything on the mountains and snow squalls. Shows in Iran, those areas central Iran, those high elevations, and northeastern Iran. So beware, Nepal, next 5 days does show northern Nepal, southern China, along those areas, so like more for northernmost India and China. So be aware, some other doesn't show anything tremendous, but does show some more accumulation. So be careful with the avalanche danger in the mountains and everything. Shows more, they're like northernmost Pakistan, some spots like 92 centimeters. Tajikistan, some more snow too from the systems. Be careful. And Kyrgyzstan doesn't show as much, but does show some snow, especially in the south. And Uzbekistan, some snow there, 10 centimeters. Southern Turkmenistan shows more there, like in Iran I showed you. But in Iraq and Jordan, the European also has some snow there in Lebanon. And does show like central Turkey some lighter snow next 5 days, and Georgia, the Caucasus, some more snow. So be aware. And into Russia, does show those fronts there, especially Western Russia. There are some breaks like Northern Russia, Eastern Russia, but that does show some snow in the Arctic. Be careful those towns there. If there's snow and wind, shows like Western Russia, those higher accumulations and spots. So be careful those fronts when they bring snow and everything. Central northern Kazakhstan, especially all the way to southwestern Kazakhstan some days. So beware, especially in northern Kazakhstan. Some spots to the south as well. Shows like northeastern Kazakhstan more, northernmost China, and down to like Russia. So be aware, some more snow. Mongolia shows some westernmost Mongolia, northernmost Mongolia, but nothing that crazy. Shows those spots southeastern China and the mountains in Tibet, and does show some snow in the next 5 days. North Korea, South Korea, and like in Japan, shows the mountains more through western Japan, and even the ocean there. So be aware. That shows 0.8 in Tokyo, but that's like very little. Shows some more snow northern Japan, those areas there. So be careful, the avalanche danger, the mountains and everything, is snow squalls. In eastern Russia, the peninsula shows all the way to 100 centimeters, more than 100, some mountains there. Be careful in some towns there, especially those islands with snow and wind and everything. Some other spots, southeastern Russia, shows more, some 70, 30, 50 centimeters, some towns there. Be careful, slippery roads, some ice, shows more, there's some spots of eastern Russia. So be careful. Now until the 13th, shows more in Russia, shows more in Japan, and more throughout China. Until the 13th, it even shows in Beijing some, and more there's some spots, but that's very far out. So now the GFS, just 5 days, shows Japan as well, some more, especially central western Japan, those areas. So be careful. Shows even some high elevations further south in Japan, South Korea, North Korea, those spots in China. So be aware. It does have some heavy snow like Afghanistan to northernmost Pakistan, and even to northwestern Nepal, but the GFS doesn't have as much in Nepal as the European. But in that case, I trust more the European. I think shows more in Tajikistan, southern Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, northeastern Iran, central Iran, those fronts in Russia, especially western Russia there, and central Russia. Some breaks there, central eastern Russia, but more so southeastern Russia, those spots in western Russia, those fronts there. And Kazakhstan shows more northeastern Kazakhstan there, like central Kazakhstan, those spots. Shows in the peninsula southeastern Russia as well, some heavier snow. So be careful. And here, so yeah, be careful those areas. Now there's this precipitation type as well. It's interesting. Shows there like in Tajikistan, Afghanistan now, some rain the blue, some freezing rain the purple, and snow. So be careful. Some freezing rain as well, mixed with these fronts there. In Russia, shows white, mainly snow there. but beware, Japan shows some green and whites, some mixed precipitation. Also late on the second to the third shows some like central Kazakhstan, the possibility of some freezing rain. This goes and like shows later there through like still like Kazakhstan, Afghanistan, Tajikistan, some spots of snow into Pakistan later. So yeah, beware of the snow and everything. And even Japan, some days show some little spots of freezing rain. This is on the 6th, so uh, always be mindful of that, and later more. So be careful in those areas, and we'll keep monitoring for more updates. And also something else important, it has been so foggy recently, especially in India, so be careful the fog there, fog, rime and everything. Shows in Myanmar, Vietnam as well, more foggy, even some spots of Malaysia, Indonesia, the Philippines, but especially it's very dense in India there, some days, especially the morning. So be careful that fog there in Pakistan as well, the visibility and everything. Even like into Russia, some there might be freezing fog in some cold areas, so stay safe too.